Welcome to the Lead Pedal Podcast with your host, Bruce Outridge, where he talks all things trucking. Now let's get rolling.
Hey, how's everybody doing today? Welcome to another edition of the podcast. Today we're going to continue our series on cargo theft, but we're going to talk about how it affects you as a driver. Before we get to that, let me tell you about a place that you should be stopping to make sure your cargo stays secure, and that's at Harnois Énergies' new truck stop in Woodstock, Ontario. A great one here. It's at exit 230 off the 401. This is going to be a great truck stop to get you diesel fuel and propane fueled up if you need to. They're going to have truck and diesel mechanic repair. They're going to have quick dining. They're going to have a couple convenience stores. And you know what? The best way for you to get into all of that is to get your SO fuel card. And you can do that by going to harnoisenergies.com. That's where you can go to get that all set up for sure. All right. So we're continuing our episode about cargo theft today on the Lead Pedal Podcast. Let's get on with it.
Be sure to share the podcast on your favorite social media channels.
All right, so we've been talking in our last episode. We're doing series now for 2026. This is the new format we're trying out for our podcast. So if you listen to the last podcast episode, it was about cargo theft, where they're targeting, what they're stealing, what the people are doing to battle that. Today on the podcast, we're going to talk about how it affects you as a driver. You may not think it affects you. We all know that when something's stolen, it affects all of us in the pricing of our goods and what's going on. But the driver impact, you're on the front lines. You are the truck driver. When a load is stolen, drivers are often the first ones questioned. And you start thinking, well, wait a minute now. I've done everything to make sure it was secure, but the company thinks that you had something to do with it. The reason for that is that a lot of times it is an inside job on a lot of these things. It's not just random the way we often used to think about it, where someone just happened to steal your load because it was in a convenient spot. It is being targeted now. That those quick loads that may seem like they don't really have a lot of value to them are quick sales for them, that seed money for larger operations. And when this happens, a lot of things happen, and there's nothing more stressful and frustrating than to be the driver and done everything you can, have your load stolen, and then things happen. So what's the real risk to you right away? First of all, the lost time and the income, right? You're going to be down for whatever time that investigation goes. If your truck was stolen, that may be your reason you're down as well. There's going to be delays and reports, all kinds of stuff. Insurance is going to be involved. We all know how much that can be a pain. And then, of course, you got pressure from dispatching customers to replace that load and get things going. But there's a safety factor long past the paperwork side. You are being watched. That's right. As a driver, you are being watched. You're being followed in some cases. You're being approached in some cases. You're parking in the wrong place, stopping too soon after pickup, or posting too much information online can put you as a target on your back. The old days we had the CB, and we always said, hey, don't tell anybody where you are or what you're doing. We all used to do that in a general standpoint because it was open to everybody, but we didn't have those issues of people trying to target us as much as we do today. Today, it's a whole different mindset of what's going on. And a common mistake is that drivers think that it's not going to happen to us. And we often think that, but cargo theft doesn't really care, right? It doesn't matter how experienced you are, and it doesn't care about anything but the opportunity. Now, this is very serious. In 2025, we've seen cargo increase time on everything. If you're hauling autos, if you're hauling anything expensive, if you're hauling anything food related, if you're hauling anything pharmaceuticals, a lot of this has to do with people are willing to pay an undercut price because everybody is struggling to keep things going. And so it's not expected to slow down. If anything, it's going to get worse. And criminals are using technology. They're not just waiting for you to show up at a truck stop. They are using technology. They're using GPS tracking to see where you are, where you're going. They're looking at things like signal jammers, so you can't communicate with your company. They're looking at stolen credentials. We heard that a lot of fake licensing and fake brokerages and those kind of things happening. And then a lot of inside information, right? And, even the Border Patrol and that kind of stuff, they said, when someone's having trouble with money is when they're most opportune to start being part of some of these thefts. So, if someone knows that you might be having trouble getting going and you're looking for something to kind of, need some help. Someone comes up and says, hey, would you like to make some extra cash doing this? And it doesn't seem like that big a deal. It might be that big a deal. They might be getting you into your system. And of course, once you're into their system, it's not that easy to get out. Ask anybody who's been in a gang or anything like that. It's probably pretty good. So what are companies planning on doing? Well, I can tell you they're getting a little more, they're trying to do everything on their part too. You're going to see things like mandatory secure parking. They want to know that you do. You probably see more of them say, hey, park at our terminals as opposed to a truck stop. You're going to see stricter communications for you as a driver. They're going to say, we need you to report in on a regular basis, or we're going to GPS you, or, whatever the thing is they're going to do. They want to make sure they know where you are. Those days of us taking off route, and we've all done it, especially if you've been a trucker back in the day, of going and going off route to see some cool site that you heard about in that area. I mean, we've all done it, right? No more of that, my friends. In fact, a lot of them are changing your route based on where you can fuel, so that you have to follow that way. So you have to watch for more of that. There's going to be a lot more driver accountability. I think a lot of you who have been bonded or been going across the border for many years have probably heard about some of the things going on about security inspections and drug inspections and all that. That is being stepped up, and it's going to mean more increased accountability for you as a driver. So while some of that's going to add pressure, it also hopefully makes you more informed and prepared to stand out as professionals. And that's where this whole industry has to go. I think we've gotten to kind of the lowest of what we can do. And it's going to be a challenge for everybody, but we're going to see that there's more of that happening. So what can you do right now? First of all, don't, keep communication with your office. Keep doing what you're supposed to be doing. Be mindful of where you're stopping, where you're parking. Have a planned trip plan instead of just stopping whenever. I see a lot of people stopping on the side of the road or wherever. Stop, let people know where you're going to be stopping, family and company, and watch what you're doing. If you're approached by anybody, report it. Be very careful of what you're doing. Have an idea of what you're hauling. I know you can't always get in because of seals, but make sure things like seals are intact. Make sure numbers match. Check paperwork. Know who you're dealing with. This is going to be a big thing. I think it's going to be even more important for those of you that might be owner-operators, small fleet owner-operators. Know who you're dealing with as far as brokerages and stuff go. Dealing with load brokers and not knowing who they are is going to really be a problem. Relationships and knowing who you're dealing with is going to be a big part of trucking in 2026. So when we come back for our next segment, we're going to let you know about what you need to do for 2026 to keep you safe and keep you going and doing what you need to do. Before we do that, though, let me tell you about a couple great people that can help you. Rosedale Transport is looking for drivers, whether you're local, regional, highway, or owner-operator. They've got 15 terminals across North America, been around 50 years. They certainly know how to protect what they do. And if you're looking for a good, solid fleet that treats you like family, then Rosedale Transport's where you want to go. Go to rosedalegroup.com to learn all about them. And if you need someone who's helping you with your taxes, maybe you're an owner-operator, we're in that fine season right now we call tax season, then RS2000 Tax Services is somebody that you should be talking about. If you're in Ontario, Canada, you can give them a call. You can go to rs2000tax.com. They are looking for you to help you keep some money in your pocket. They come to you and your family. You don't have to go to them. They work all across the province, and they specialize in trucking and farming. So if you want somebody who's on your side and understands what you do, then rs2000tax.com is where you should go. All right, my friends, we will see you in the next episode. Be good out there. Bye for now.
This has been another episode of the Lead Pedal Podcast. For more information or to subscribe to the podcast, visit theleadpedalpodcast.com and be sure to follow the podcast on Facebook and Twitter.